slides here. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us here today. I want to announce we're putting forward some important legislation, some legislation that answers a question that I am very often asked about what's happening at our southern border. What's the reason, what's the rationale for this invasion that's been unleashed on our nation? We have some 8 to 10 million people that have entered America just since Joe Biden took office. Children in my state and in every state are being poisoned by fentanyl. Human trafficking is occurring. It is an absolute disaster, and the question comes, why? Well, video recently emerged. The Democrat Congressman, Yvette Clarke from Brooklyn, New York, explaining to us why. She said very clearly, the quiet part out loud, she needs these illegal immigrants for the purposes of redistricting. Let me explain this. In our nation today, we count the number of people, not the number of citizens, for the purpose of allocating congressional districts and electoral votes. What we're seeing is the Democrats abusing this system by creating sanctuary cities in blue states that are literally losing citizens every day to states like mine. What's happening is cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago, New York are acting as magnets to attract illegal immigrants. Those immigrants are then being counted in the populations of California, Illinois, New York, and other cities for the purposes of allocating congressional districts and electoral votes. As a result, the limousine liberal in California has much more power in their vote than the single mom in Tennessee. That needs to come to an end. We need to clarify this once and for all. We need to make certain that only citizens are counted for the purposes of allocating congressional districts and electoral votes. That's why we're introducing this legislation. This legislation will remedy that, it will clarify that, and I think it will accomplish what most Americans expect, and that is that American citizens are the ones that should be counted with respect to allocation of congressional districts and electoral votes. I want to thank my colleagues for joining me here today. I'm going to call on Senator Rounds.
Thank you, and let me just simply share with you, when we have illegal immigration, it hurts legal immigration. We want the Equal Representation Act to make it very clear that the individuals that can vote for representation in the United States are those individuals that are here legally. Citizens, children, as a part of the count in the population base, have always been accepted. But right now, we are talking about a case in which, over a very short period of time, we have 8 million individuals that have now entered our country. That is 10 times the population of my state of South Dakota. It simply is not fair to those individuals that are standing in line waiting to legally immigrate into the United States. And at the same time, it is not fair to the citizens of the United States to have representation for the apportionment of congressional districts be based on the number of individuals that are not here legally.
Thank you, everyone. Senator Hagerty, thank you for your leadership on this very important issue. You know, we're in the middle of the worst border crisis in U.S. history. Since Biden took office, as Senator Rounds mentioned, we'd have over 8 million illegal border crossings. In the month of December alone, 302,000 illegal alien encounters. It was the highest month that had ever been recorded in U.S. history. So instead of trying to solve this crisis, some congressional Democrats are encouraging more illegal immigration. So let me quote one Democrat congresswoman. She said, "I need more people in my district just for redistricting purposes." It's truly an unbelievable statement. An elected official encouraging illegal immigration for political gain. So here's the problem. Under current law, illegal immigrants are counted for congressional district apportionment and for electoral college votes. The census does not include a citizenship question. This creates a terrible incentive for more illegal immigration at a time when we as a country are at a breaking point. The basic function of the census is to determine an accurate makeup of our country. We must stop ignoring the fundamental distinction between legal citizens and illegal aliens. We believe that now is a time to reverse the failed policies of the past and ensure that we have equal representation in our country. And that's why I support Senator Hagerty's bill. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. Since 1820, the census has routinely asked questions about citizenship. This current policy rewards sanctuary cities and sanctuary states with outsized population because it's counting people who came here illegally, people who broke the law. And it's fundamentally unfair to states like mine in Nebraska or states who are following the law to reward folks in states who are breaking the law. In the last year, Joe Biden has abused the parole system to parole 1.2 million people into this country. That's about 2/3 the size of the state of Nebraska, our population. The average, just to put in context, during the Obama and Trump, on average, 5,600 people, that's 5,600 people would be paroled into this country over the course of a given year, and Joe Biden has just done it for 1.2 million people. That highlights how unfair this is. And Congresswoman Yvette Clarke's quote has already been referenced a couple of times here, how she said she needed more illegal immigrants for redistricting purposes. That really highlights what the Democrats are thinking. This is unfair. And this bill will correct that injustice. Only citizens can vote in elections. And that's the way it needs to remain. And so it makes sense that only citizens should be counted for the purposes of congressional representation and electoral college votes. This bill will make the data and policy changes to make sure we implement that. And frankly, this is what Nebraskans expect, that only citizens are going to be involved in determining who has representation in Congress and those electoral college votes. I want to thank Senator Hagerty for all his great work on this, and with that, I'll turn it back over to Senator Hagerty.
Thank you. Thank you. Senator Lewis.
Thank you. I'm here to explain the effect that we're in if Senator Hagerty's bill doesn't pass, and to enthusiastically support Senator Hagerty's bill. I come from the state that is the smallest population in the nation. We have one member of the U.S. House of Representatives. We have only 3 electoral votes because, as you'll recall, the Electoral College allocates electoral college votes by how many House members and how many senators you have. So with only one House member, we only have 3 electoral college votes. If someone from Brooklyn can count illegal immigrants for purposes of establishing how many electoral votes they have an outsized clout in deciding who's going to be the president of the United States and who's going to govern our nation, and they're counting people that are here illegally. Some states allow illegals to have a driver's license, so you can't use a driver's license as indicia of citizenship because those laws vary from state to state. We have to use the census as the true and correct indicia of who is a citizen, who is not, who's entitled to vote, who is not, who pays taxes because they are here legally, whether they're a citizen or not, and who's hiding in the shadows, who has some sort of a deferred date 10 years hence when they're going to have to show up at some proceeding and show they're in this country legally. This is creating a real distortion. The Biden policies are distorting our ability to understand who's in our country, what they're doing here, and it goes to who's entitled to be here legally, who's entitled to vote, who's entitled to be counted for purposes of the Electoral College. As the representative of the state with the smallest population and the most to lose from an electoral sense by having illegal immigrants spread across this nation in the shadows, I wholeheartedly support Senator Hagerty's bill. I thank him for his foresight in addressing this issue now. Thanks so much, Senator Hagerty.
Thank you, Senator Lummis. I'm calling on Senator Blackburn now.
Thank you, Senator Hagerty, and thank you for your efforts on this. You know, with this wide open border, one of the things that is concerned to us is the way these blue cities that are losing population are welcoming illegal immigrants into their community. Now, why are they doing this? It is because when you get to the census, what they need is people who are going to replace the people that have chosen to vote with their feet and leave these cities. So, to the big blue cities, big blue states, sanctuary cities, this means keeping congressional seats and keeping federal dollars. So I'm so appreciative that Senator Hagerty is pushing forward, bringing this legislation and calling attention to the fact that as we do the census, that these individuals do not need to be counted as citizens of the United States.
Thank you, Senator Blackburn. I'm happy to open for questions. Yes.
Can I ask how exactly do you want people to prove that they are citizens? Is there going to be some form of proof that people have to provide when they're filling out the census, or is it just going to be a box on the questionnaire? And also, will it cost any money to change how the census is?
It certainly should cost no additional money to ask this question on the census. And the matter of proof is something that we'll work through as we implement the legislation. But there are variable ways that you can demonstrate your citizenship. We need to make certain, though, that only citizens are counted for the purpose of allocating legislative districts and the Electoral College vote. Yes?
Is there a path forward here to passage?
There certainly should be, because I think if you talk to people in Tennessee, you talk to people around the nation, they're shocked to find out that what's happening today, this loophole that's being exercised, is giving disproportionate power of the vote to people that live in sanctuary states and sanctuary cities. That's not what I think anybody wants to see here in America. And when you say, should a citizen be counted, should citizens be counted only for the allocation of congressional districts, most Americans will tell you yes. So I think that there is a pathway if our legislators listen to their constituents. Yes.
Yes, in relation to how they're trying to manipulate, or it seems that they're trying to manipulate the political system, do you have any comments on the spat in between Governor Abbott and President Biden with the southern border and the removal of the razor wire?
Well, I think the fact that the Biden administration was just last week at the Supreme Court asking for permission to cut the razor wire that Governor Abbott put in place to protect our southern border demonstrates with actions, not with their words, that they have no intention of doing anything about stopping this massive invasion of illegal aliens coming into the United States. Their deeds demonstrate far more than their words that they have no intention to do anything other than facilitate the movement of people more rapidly into America. Again, this distortion of the Electoral College, this distortion of the congressional map is heart and soul of their motivation for doing this. Thank you. Yes.
Do you think at this point the amount of migrants in, say, the blue states you're referencing is more than red states in the South like Texas or Florida?
I certainly think so. I think that's the motivation. If the Democrats thought it were anything else, if the Biden administration thought it was moving a different direction, Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer would be down there themselves building the wall. So it's clear that it's adding to their vote, making their blue state vote, their sanctuary state vote, disproportionately greater than it is to the rest of the nation. Thank you. Thanks to all of you for being here.
Thanks for doing this, Bill.